sorry, we're not done here.
No, we fucking are, Jim.
What's up? I'm Ashley, and we're going to break down from Season 3, Episode 8. Let's get into it. The episode picks up shortly after Fatima killed Tilly, but to my surprise, Boyd was the accomplice to murder when I thought it was Elgen. But Elgen over there doing something else, but we'll get into him a little later. Boyd hides Fatima in a shed in the woods. He has her tell him what happened, and she says she just got angry. She said she didn't want to eat any more of that rotten food, and she just got so mad at herself because she wanted some more of that rotten food. But she was trying to deny it and deny what she's really becoming. So she just got mad. So when Tilly came in there trying to help her, that made her even angrier. So she picked up the shears and stabbed her. She said she just couldn't control the rage that came over her. She said, but I just left her there. Boyd said, we gonna have to just leave her there and let somebody find her. We can't let nobody know we had any parts in this. Are you crazy? What's wrong with you? Before Boyd leaves her, he says, I brought you some food in case you get hungry. She's like, I don't want none of that. It most likely was that rotten food she was about to eat in the garden house, but she's still trying to deny herself. Then we see Jade, Tabitha, Jim, and little annoying Ethan walking back from the settlement. Ethan has a little attitude nobody care about, and he runs in the house and goes up to his room. But he just don't know. He can go ahead and stay up there. Then Jade walks in the bar, and as he's about to pour himself a drink, he hears a noise in the other room. And just as he was about to hit the person upside the head with a bottle, Henry walks out. He's like, hey, it's me, Henry. I'm Victor's father. But what was Henry doing in that room? Because that was a lot of noise he was making. What was he doing in there? And again, I've said it multiple times, I don't trust Henry. He asked Jade, was he making any progress? Jade tells him, no, I'm not making no progress up in here. So then he's like, okay, well, is it okay if I make myself a little pick me up? Henry's about to make the bar go out of business. Nobody should have told him about that bar. Then while Marielle is walking to Colony House, a man is coming out of the garden house saying, help, I need help, it's Tilly. And guess who's on the front porch? Elgin, with his little camera, watching it all go down. Then his camera takes another picture all by itself again, and when Elgin picks it up, we don't get to see what it is right at that moment. At the clinic, Julie wants Randall to go back with her to the ruins, but Randall tells her when something makes the hair on the back of his neck stand up, that's enough for him to stay away. Now that's common sense right there. She said, yeah, but we both felt it, right? Maybe there's something there that can help us. Randall said, no, nothing here wants to help us. You stay away from that place. Then she walks away with an attitude, just like her brother. It sure do run in the family. Then we get to Boyd and Ellis coming up with the lie to tell the people in the town about where Ellis and Fatima was last night. They're going to tell everyone that they were with Boyd. But Ellis is saying, why don't we just tell everybody the truth? They'll understand. Let's tell them the truth. Boyd said, ain't no way these people are going to understand that. Ain't no way. He said, but they're going to put her in the box. Boyd said, get yourself together. I'm not going to let that happen. Now go upstairs and pack yourself a bag, but not too much, only enough for a couple of days because they got to run and hide. Then Kenny yells out and says, Boyd, we found something over here. So Boyd walks into the garden house and he's acting surprised to see Tilly's dead body over there with some shears stuck in it. He said, anyone see anything? Any idea when this happened? Oh no! Kenny tells him they have no idea. It could have been this morning or it could have been last night. Acosta said we should talk to everyone in the house. But Boyd isn't saying anything. He's just daydreaming, looking at Tilly's body. Kenny had to snap him out of it. Then Boyd's like, yeah, that's a good idea. Talk to people. Yeah, good idea. Me and Ellis will walk around to see if anyone new came into town who could have done this. Then he says to Kenny, I know you're not my deputy, but Kenny already knows what he wants. He's like, yeah, it's fine. I'll do the interviews. Then before Acosta leaves, she turns around and says to Boyd, we good? Girl, if you don't turn around and get up out of there. Boyd says to her, let's find out who did this. That's a little crazy. When Donna walks in and sees Tilly, she says to Boyd, we're going to have to talk to Sarah. Boyd said it wasn't Sarah. Donna said, you don't know that. And I'm not going to be the only one asking about her either. Even if you don't think she did it, we're still going to talk to her. This is something that people are going to have to blame someone for. She's still going to get blamed for it, whether she did it or not. Then we get to Sarah and Victor, and Sarah is trying to imitate Jasper. But Victor's getting mad. He said, "No, you're not doing it right. I told you. He don't sound like that." She said, "I'm doing my best." He said, "No, you're not doing it right." He starts kicking things, pulling his hair. He said, "It's not enough. You're not enough." He starts slapping his own face. Sarah had to put the doll down, get up, and calm him down. Then here comes Jim walking in the kitchen, getting on Tabitha's nerves, talking about, "I know you want all this to mean something, and I know you're convinced this place wants you to save the children, and it has you thinking you can fix something you can never fix." Then he tells her that the phone is off the hook because when it was ringing the other day, the person on the other end said his name was Thomas. He says, "Something here knows something about us, and it knows what buttons to push. So how can you fix your mouth to say that when you just told her she was crazy for thinking she can save the children?" He don't be making no sense. Then Sarah knocks on the door and says, "I know I'm not supposed to be here, but Victor's in my basement wilding out." And he says he only wants to talk to Tabitha. Elgin is creeping around the clinic when Randall catches him. Elgin tells him, "I'm not looking for drugs. I'm just looking for a band-aid. I cut my foot." "If you cut your foot, how are you walking around in shoes like that? Shouldn't it hurt?" Randall tells Elgin he's sorry for going so hard on him in the bus and that he was right, they should have turned around. Then Elgin apologizes for throwing up on him. Then when Randall leaves, he takes out the blood bag that he really came in there for. We get back to Sarah's basement and Victor is so happy to see Tabitha. He said, "Here, come here, sit down." And he gives her Jasper and tells her, "You were there when I remembered Eloise, so you're the one who can make him talk." She said, "I don't know what's going on, Victor." He said, "You need to make him tell me. Make him tell me." She's like, "Tell you what?" He says, "The secrets he told Christopher. Have him tell me the secrets." Then he starts yelling again. He says, "You have to be the one. You have to be the one." Tabitha has to stop him from hitting himself again. She's like, "Calm down. Do you want to draw a picture?" Victor tells her he can't draw a picture because he never drew one before. So now he can't remember. She eventually gets him to sit down, and that's when he tells her the doll's name is Jasper. When Julie gets home from the clinic, Jim is on his way out the door. He says, "Can you watch Ethan because I have some things I need to take care of." When Julie goes upstairs to check on Ethan, he still has a little attitude until she said, "Do you want to see something cool?" Then he hurried up and turned around because you know he nosy. "Cool? Something cool?" Henry tells Jade his wife used to have visions of this place, but he thought she was crazy. Jade said, "Yeah, well, shoulda, coulda, woulda." Henry says to Jade, "What makes you think you're going to figure this whole thing out? Because I'm sure a lot of other smart people tried to figure it out." Jade says, "I'm smarter." Then here comes Jim walking through the door. And as soon as he said, "It's done," I said, "Ugh, shut up." Jim said, "Who do you think you are dragging my wife and kid out in the middle of the woods?" Jade stood up. He said, "First of all, I didn't drag nobody nowhere." They have a whole back and forth. Jim says, "My wife is not in a good place right now, and I don't need you filling her head up with ideas." Jade said, "Filling her head up? What is she? 9?" Jim said, "You are a lonely, selfish, narcissistic asshole. If you want to kill yourself trying to figure this whole thing out, then you do it. But you leave my family alone. I have a family I have to look out for." And I said, "Look out for? How you looking out for him? What you been doing?" What has Jim done recently but sounds stupid? Meanwhile, Henry has a front row seat. Jim is still rambling on, but Jade has to cut him off because he's not making no sense. Jade said, "I'm getting a little tired of this sanctimonious blue collar BS. You want to talk about your family? Let's talk about your family. I am the only one of the two of us doing anything to help them. And what you doing? Nothing." He said, "See, look at what I'm doing here. This helps people." Jim said, "No. All this does is show people you're the smartest prick in the room." Sounding stupid again. What's wrong with being the smartest person in the room? Jade said, "So what? If it gets us home, who cares?" He said, "Tabitha's a grown woman. Go talk to her and get up out my face." Then while Jade is trying to leave the bar, Jim said, "Oh, we're not done here. Jade said, "Oh, yes, we are, Jim," and closed the door right in his face. Ellis goes to check on Fatima in the shed and says, "We're in this together." She tells him, "But you don't understand. Whatever's inside me is still there. What if I do it again?" He tells her she won't because she's stronger than that. No, it don't got nothing to do with being strong. It has everything to do with what the town has planned for her. But before he leaves, he gives her a change of clothes and a lucky handkerchief. She gonna need more than that. And when he leaves, she sees the lady in the kimono staring at her in her face. Now they're having a whole staring contest. Elgin is using the blood bag he stole from the clinic, and we get to see what was on the first picture, which was a picture of a blood bag. So it's been insinuated that the lady in the kimono is talking to Elgin through these pictures and telling him what she wants him to do. And I'm pretty sure he's taking his blood to give to Fatima so she'll be able to suck it right on up like a vampire. Then the camera takes another picture by itself. Henry tells Jim when his wife speaks, maybe he should shut up and listen. And that Jade was right about something before he left when he said, "You think you're doing this for your family, but really you're holding on so tight because you're scared." Jim mentioned that his father was a drunk, and Henry said his was too. What are the odds? They both have wives that are connected to the place, and their fathers were an alcoholic. I think Jim and Henry could be connected some kind of way. Jim said after Julie was born, he went to the bar across the street and asked the bartender to pour him the tallest glass of whiskey she could pour. But he just stared at the glass and promised himself he would be a better father and a better husband. Henry then pours him a glass and tells him he's giving him another chance to renew his vows. Jim don't know how to uphold a promise. Julie takes Ethan to the ruins and tells him that ever since she woke up, she's been hearing people scream in her head. But when she came here, the screaming finally stopped. She tells him she feels like something wants her to go inside. And she asked Ethan, "What should I do?" He said, "What?" She says, "What would happen in the stories you like to read?" He says, "Well, this is a threshold. It's always scary at first, but you have to be brave. We can go in together if you want." They hold hands and they start to walk inside, but Ethan disappears and only Julie is able to go inside. Once she's inside, she sees Randall, Marielle, and herself hanging up on the wall, screaming. She is shook. This is where I think she realizes this is the same screaming she's been hearing in her head. She's been hearing herself the whole time. Then we flash back outside where we see Julie's body is having some kind of a seizure and Ethan is freaking out. He's like, "Julie, Julie, help!" Victor tells Tabitha he heard Jasper talk in a dark basement, but can't remember which basement. Sarah asked him, was it a nice day out? And this is when he starts to remember. He said it was a sunny day and that he and Eloise were playing hide and seek. He tried looking for her everywhere, but she was just too good. He even went looking for her in the church, knowing that she did not like the church. Then he remembers that's where it all went down. He says he remembers Jasper talking to Christopher in the church. Kenny and Acosta are questioning the man who found Tilly in the garden house. He said, "Why don't you actually question the person in town who actually murdered somebody? Why you over here talking to me? Go over there and talk to Sarah. Why are you defending her? Didn't she kill your daddy?" Kenny said, "We're going to go talk to her after we talk to you." But Acosta is over there confused. She like, "What? Who's Sarah?" Ellis still wants to be honest with everybody. He thinks they'll get over it in time. Boy said, "Then what? Then what? You're going to live out there in a tent?" Ellis said, "Yeah, we'll have talisman." If it wasn't for Boyd, I wouldn't care about Ellis the small amount that I do now. He already lost his wife, but if he loses his son, this is really going to take him out. But other than that, Ellis could go in the trash. He's boring. All his storyline is about is protecting Fatima. If it wasn't about Fatima, what else would he be doing? And what else would Fatima be doing if she wasn't turning into a monster? Boyd is trying to tell him he won't be safe out there with Fatima, but Ellis is like, "No, she won't do that to me, no." Then Donna barges in and says, "Look, I have a whole bunch of people ready to march up to Sarah's house with torches because they all think she killed Tilly." Boyd tells her she didn't do it. Fatima did. She can't believe her ears. Then when Acosta and Kenny are talking about Sarah, Ethan runs up. He says, "Help! Help! I need help! Julie's on the ground shaking. So the three of them run over there to the ruins. We get back to Julie in the ruins where she's still hearing the screaming. Then it stops when the three of them disappear from the wall. But then Martin appears, and we hear the conversation he and Boyd had in season 2 when Boyd got stuck in that little chimney, when Martin told him that he would have to climb up. But it gets even weirder when Martin knows Julie's name. He tells her that he needs the rope. As she throws the rope down, she says, "Who is that?" Not knowing she was helping out Boyd the whole time, and Boyd not knowing it was Julie who saved him with that rope. Martin tells Julie she needs to leave, it's not safe here. And while she's running away, she turns around and Martin has disappeared. Then all of a sudden, she's inside of the cave and she hears her mother and Victor's conversation of the time they were both inside of the cave together. Julie hears Tabitha saying, "Where are we?" and Victor telling her, "We're underneath the town. This is where the monsters live." Then she hears the kids saying, "Ankui." And by this time, she snaps out of it and she stops having her seizure. And Kenny, Acosta, and Ethan are all there when she wakes up. Ethan said, "What happened?" But one thing's for sure, Boyd and Julie need to have a little chat. Boyd tells Donna he took Fatima out of town before everyone woke up. She said, "You need to bring her back." Boyd said, "I can't right now." She said, "You can't until what? Manage to resurrect Tilly? You think you're going to bring her back to life?" She said, "I love Fatima as if she was my own. But if people find out you were trying to hide this, they going to go crazy." Boyd told her they'll understand just like they did Sarah. She said they didn't understand Sarah. They just let it go because you made them let it go. They still don't understand Sarah. It's not going to work this time, Boyd. They don't believe in you anymore. Not like they used to. Look what you done did. Ellis said, "I'll tell them I did it." Donna said, "No, no, no. That won't change nothing. There's still something horrible growing inside of her. Or else this place has finally broken her mind. It's only a matter of time before she does it again. And if you don't tell the town it was Fatima, then I'm going to tell everybody it was Fatima. I'ma tell. Don't make me do this." Boyd knows it is what it is at this point and tells Ellis he's going to get supplies together because he's going to need them out in the woods. We get to the church basement with Victor, Tabitha, and Sarah. Victor says it all happened here in the basement. When he gets inside of the basement, he starts to remember that it wasn't Jasper talking to Christopher, but it was the boy in white. He said the boy in white was the one telling the secrets to Christopher. He remembers the boy in white saying the answers to the end are at the beginning. It started with the children, what the others did to them. The others being the people they loved, the people they trusted. The boy in white continues and says the children are born in the dark. And then they were murdered in the dark. But someone who loved them told them a story. The story gave them hope. And when the children laid on the stones, they poured their hope into the roots that made the symbol. And those roots became the tree. And the tree he's talking about is the faraway tree. Victor says the boy in white was trying to get Christopher to save the children, and that he would have to go through the tree to save them. But he wouldn't listen and he got angry. Christopher calls the boy in white a liar and says everything is a lie here. And since Christopher wouldn't go to the tree, Victor told his mother what the boy in white said. So I feel like Victor feels responsible for his mother's death. And I can't even express how happy I feel that we finally got this little bit of answers. From the picture the camera took, it showed Elgen where to find Fatima. So he finds her in the shed and says, "Fatima, it's Elgen." Then we go to Boyd and Ellis walking in the woods, and Boyd is trying to tell Ellis what to do while he's out there, since he's going to be living out there for a while in a tent. They're walking to the shed to get Fatima, and once they're there, she's not in there. So where'd she go? Ellis says, "Fatima, Fatima," but she can't hear you. You know why? Because Elgin kidnapped her. We go back to Elgin and Fatima, and Elgin's like, "Come on, we're almost there, come on." She's like, "Where are we going?" Then Elgin says, "I told you, Ellis, is waiting for you. He lures her down to the cellar, and she's not thinking Elgin, out of all people, are kidnapping her, not Elgin. I thought Elgin was going to be the accomplice to murder, not the kidnapper. Once they were both down in the cellar, Elgin reminded me of a serial killer. Fatima calls out Ellis's name. She says, Ellis? But he don't say nothing, 'cause he not in there. So since she didn't hear anything, she tells Elgin, I'ma just wait for him back at the shed. He said, no, no, you're not. You don't understand. You have to be here. She looked at him up and down. She said, Elgin, get out my way. He said, no, you don't understand. You have to be here. It's the only place the baby can be safe. She said, there is no baby. He said, yes, there is. It's just not yours. At this point, if it's me, I'm thinking you're insane and I'm about to swing on you. But she stayed calmer than I ever could. She just said, Elgin, get out my way. Get out of my way. But he won't get out the way. Then her stomach started hurting and she falls down to the ground. He said, you see? The baby knows you have to stay. She manages to push him off of her for a little bit and she starts climbing up the stairs. But what had me laughing, it took me all the way out, is when Fatima is crawling up these stairs and Elgin grabs her by her leg and pulls her back down. The way I hollered, I said, oh my God, it's a serial killer. He said, I'm sorry. This is for the best, then drags her in the back room. She's calling for help, but she's not yelling loud enough for me. And really, she's not putting up that good of a fight. I know her stomach probably hurts still, I don't know, but girl, you better start scratching and kicking them balls. And look at you. Now you about to get your soul sucked out of you in the back room. But don't worry, they gon' feed you first though, cause Elgin got his blood ready for you. But I really think Elgin thinks he's helping, but really, he look crazy. Now I'm thinking, did he kill his grandmother? Was that whole story a lie about how they would crochet owls? Was he really crocheting her body? But y'all let me know your thoughts on Elgin and this episode down in the comments so we can talk about it. And if you haven't already and want to see more videos like this, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in my next one.